This is Radio Works worldwide.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world.
Yeah. Hi, good morning, Cheryl. How are you doing?
Good morning, Angelica. I am perfect, and thank you very much for inviting me for the chat today.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you for making the time. Cheryl, would you please share a little bit about yourself, your story, and how you gotten to the point where you are now in life, and why you became so passionate about helping other people to find their why?
I certainly will. It depends how much time we've got, so I'll not tell you all my life. That's about 52 years of it, but let's see how we go. Yeah, that's the important bits. Okay, so about 5 years ago, if you've been, I don't know if you've ever had a time where you just thought, what on earth am I doing here? You know, why am I here? So about 5 years ago, that was exactly where I was. And if you'd have been with me, you'd have been sitting in the front row of a theatre. It's actually a theatre called the Troxy, which is in London. And it's one of those Art Deco theatres with sweeping staircases, you know, the kind that Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers would have come tap dancing onto the stage from. And actually, I'm sitting on the front row with a friend called Ayosha, an Indian lady, who I just met, in the last couple of hours. And I'm there to see a guy called Bob Proctor, who's a Canadian motivational speaker. And he is somebody that I've been following for about 6 months because in my day job, I'm like really busy. You know, I'm one of those people that's so busy. That's all I kept saying all the time. Oh, I'm too busy for this. Oh, I'm too busy. I'm hard work. Oh, I'm overworked. And so I've got, because this guy had a course called 6 Minutes to Success. And at the time I was thinking, well, that's probably all I've got in my life is about 6 minutes. So I've gone to see this guy. But there's this other guy comes on stage who's not Canadian, who isn't in his 70s. In fact, I guess he's probably in his 30s. Quite small for a guy. And he comes on stage and he's talking about the art of public speaking. And I'm thinking, well, you know, I can speak in public. It doesn't really bother me. But he said something to me that completely changed my life, because he said, if you were to die tomorrow, who would mourn your loss? And I remember thinking, well, I've got about 43 friends on Facebook, so probably not a lot of people. And in the north of England, if it rains, you know, nobody turns up. So it kind of struck a little bit of a chord to me. And then he said, if that number is small, it meant you led a life of insignificance. And I don't know if you've ever had a time where you just thought, oh my gosh, like this person is just kind of telling me the way my life's going to be. So I bought his program without even realizing what it was really about. I mean, there's a bit of a joke these days that I was recruiting people for my funeral. So that was 4 years ago. And I started off on a journey that I didn't know where I was going. I didn't really know what I wanted from my life. I knew I didn't want what I had at that time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I kind of went searching. I did the public speakers course. I joined the academy, in around positive people. I was still working for somebody else full time, and I started to learn NLP and life coaching, and I started reading more books and listening to more positive thinking. I suddenly really wasn't in the right place because I wasn't hanging around with the right kind of people. I was a negative Nelly, and I hung around with lots of negative Nellies. The people who were positive, I didn't quite get them because I couldn't work out what they were talking about. But slowly but surely over the last the next couple of years, I started to realise that I did want to do something else. And what I wanted to do was, I wanted to, women's eyes initially, of my age, so late 40s, to know that there was something out there that we hadn't been brought up with in school. And if you've been brought up in a working class background, you didn't know about owning your own business. You know, your parents went to work and they worked long hours, probably in a factory, you know, and you prayed for 2 weeks holiday so you could go somewhere sunny to because over those 2 years I realized that there was something else to life, and that was the ability to be able to be positive, and not every day because that's unrealistic, but to just look at what is possible, because the life that we live in at the moment is a life that's full of opportunities for people. And we kind of, certainly as I was a child and when I was growing up, everything was very competitive. We used to watch sport on the telly, you had to win. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with winning, but, there is a bit about, helping lots of people at the same time. So in the last 18 months, I realised that I needed to find my why. So I needed to find what my purpose was, what was I here for. I studied a lot more with my friend at the time, Marion Bevington, who was into what I called woo-woo stuff. So kinesiology and yoga and EFT tapping. And I thought that was a bit weird, really. But she seemed to know what she was talking about. And she did some kinesiology on me. And it worked out that my body spoke. And if nobody knows what kinesiology is, they'll be like, oh my God, what on earth is she talking about? But your body can't lie. It has strength when you are talking the truth, and it has weakness when you are lying to yourself or to others. And so through this kinesiology, Marion made me realise that when I was 5 years old, I was told to be careful by my mother because my father worked away, my mother had to go to work during the day, and when I got home from school, nobody was there. So she put around my neck, don't let anybody in, don't tell anybody because, you don't want your mum being taken away. And the reality was I was probably on my own for about maybe 20 minutes, a half an hour. And yes, I was 5 years old, and I appreciate that's very young. But I always used to think that that's what had made me independent and made me strong. But in fact, the kinesiology really found that I'd been careful for the next 43 years. I was 4 years old and I was still being careful in life. When really life is about taking opportunities, sometimes taking a bit of a risk, because if you want to be successful, you've got to fail your way to success, really. And that's what most people, me included up to being 48, was doing. I was being very, very careful. Wouldn't speak out of turn, was very mindful about what I said, very careful about what I did and where I went. And as soon as I started to open up that opportunity to look at different things, to be around different people, I realised that actually I could inspire others. And that's what I wanted to do. So what I did was I went on the journey myself very quickly, a 2-year journey. I studied genetic blueprinting. I'm still studying genetic blueprinting. I'm studying, hypnotherapy at this time. I'm doing the public speaking. I'm getting opportunities to stand on big stages, in front of thousands of people. And I'm shitting myself. But instead of going, oh no, I've got to be careful, what will they say? What will people think about it? I just went for it and just gave the best that I could at the time. And that opened more doors, led me down paths that I'd never have even thought about. And so I know that there's nothing special about me. I'm just an everyday, average 52-year-old now woman. But I love what I do. And I really love helping women and men to find their why, because I realised looking back that there's a formula to be able to find this. So that's it. That's pretty much in a nutshell where I am. But the majority of this happened in the last 4 years. And of course, that means that I met amazing people like yourself and Marina, and it's life is good. Life is good.
Yeah, I just find it absolutely amazing how, well, I know from my own experience, but that it is always that we have a message, like you've been giving the message, be careful. It's just planted like a seed in our subconscious mind, and we just grow up and just carry that out.
Well, the thing is, at 5 years old, that's really good advice.
Yeah,
I mean, not professing that anybody leaves a 5-year-old on their own, but no. We were in an army accommodation. It was a fairly safe toast at the age of 5, and I really didn't think that it held me back, and it hadn't. I was talking to somebody yesterday, an amazing guy called Engel, and he's doing he's trying to beat the world record for the number of podcasts in 3 months. And he said to me, which is very interesting, because he said to me, if you think about it, your mother gave you the key, to be able to unlock what holds a lot of people back. Because, a lot of the women that I work with, a lot of the men that I work with, they are being held back by their own limiting beliefs. And that could be something that was said to them when they were a child. It could be something that's happened to them in life that's made them jaded or, you know, just really scared about what's going to happen. But ultimately, you know, and I don't want to be, you know, too kind of blasé about it. But ultimately, the worst thing that can happen to you in your life is that you will die. I mean, in my world, you know, because I'm far too nosy to not be here. So, I mean, and I know you can have injuries and, you know, and all the rest of it. But ultimately, you know, I think that as a species, you know, we don't want to become extinct, and we do want to be here and live a life. So the question is, you know, why is it that so many of us, as Bob Proctor says, tiptoe to death trying to get there safely? Because life's for living.
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
Absolutely for living. But I know we've talked, Angelica, haven't we, about, you know, it doesn't matter what your story is, really.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, that holds you back.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. And I was talking the other day, and you know what I want to share with people as well is that we are born. When we come here, we are unique. We have an authentic soul, and I firmly believe that we're already born with the purpose and the tools to overcome the challenges that we have, that we might incur in life. And then what's happened as we grow up, we experience life, and if we search within us, we will find the strength to unlock ourselves so that we can fulfill our purpose. You know, and it kind of fits in quite nice. What you do is like helping people to find their why, because when that is unlocked, then wow, doors just opened. I mean, I just meeting you and Marion early November. I mean, it just has opened so many doors. Now I'm talking on radio. Marina is giving me this platform. So people have to stay curious about life. And when the purpose kicks in and you're getting some help, then you just go out there and you can do it. You just never know what happens. And there are so many stories out there that need to be told. And I don't think that, you know, I'm not saying to people, you know, go and blab your story just willy-nilly and tell people your deepest secrets. But think about it. Because if you do tell your story, it helps other people to come out with their story. And then the bigger picture is that we can live in a much more peaceful world. The guilt and shame, all the limiting beliefs that people have, that can be lifted. You know, it will have a collective kind of effect. It starts with ourselves and then it ripples out to the people around us. But then it continues, the ripple effect of what we do continues, in my opinion. So, you know, this is just absolutely great. And do you have any programs?
And isn't it?
Go on.
Sorry, and what did you?
Sorry, you cut out a little bit. So you say, please, what you wanted to say.
Okay, sorry. Yes, it was just a little bit cutty there, wasn't it? Yeah, it is amazing, isn't it, really? And the thing is, it's a little bit like, I don't know if anybody's seen the film The Matrix. And I remember the first time I saw The Matrix, I was totally confused. I mean, I didn't have a clue. You know, red pills, blue pills, what the hell are they on about? You know, I was eating Smarties at the time, so I preferred lots of different colours. But I watched it again quite recently, and I got it. Because the truth is, I didn't wake up until I was 48. Because until I was 48, I was in a trance. I got up, I went to work, I moaned about it. You know, I was still, you know, still good at what I did, and I thought I really enjoyed my work. But I was always thinking, thank God it's Friday. And then on a weekend, I would drink, you know, I'd binge drink. That would take me away from the work that I had to go and do. And I didn't work for anybody who was like really terrible. I I mean, the last guy that I worked for, I fondly named him Dracula because, you know, he wanted blood, sweat and tears out of you. Although he probably didn't like the tears bit because he was quite, you know, a man's man.
Yeah.
But he's a really nice guy, and he was living his why because he's got a very successful business. He's very positive thinking, and it's just it wasn't my why. So, you know, these people that we meet along the way, we can either be with them and stay with them. I mean, and I remember, you know, I used to go to work and I'd phone my friend up. She'd be in her car going to work. I'd be going to work. And we'd be bitching and moaning about how we hated our lives. Now, my friend couldn't do anything about it. Yeah. And I couldn't do anything about her life because we were talking to the wrong people. You know, first of all, we needed to be talking to ourselves and realising what we did want because we were very good at saying what we didn't want. Oh, I don't want to go to work today. Oh, I don't want to be there. Oh, I don't want to do this. Oh, I've got a shit day ahead of me. But really, you know, you've got to be able to understand what it is holding you back. You know, and with the Find Your Why Foundation, which Marion and I set up, we're helping wise women and wise men to really look at their lives to find out why they are where they are right now, what the blocks are, what the barriers are. Because the truth is, half the time, we don't even know. We don't even realise we've got these things holding us back. And so, you know, I didn't realise that, you know, I was inspiring other people until I got on stage. And I didn't stand on stage and go, oh, today I think I'm going to inspire somebody. I just got on stage and thought, do you know what? I'm going to give it my best shot today. And I'm going to tell people about, you know, who I am and what I do. And I found a saying, which is, you know, I want to inspire people. You know, I want someone to look at me and say, because of you, I didn't give up. Because when I first met Andy, you know, it's because of him that I thought, you know, I'm not going to give up. When I first met Bob Proctor, it's because of him I'm not going to give up. You know, when I first met Marina, you know, I thought, you know, she is now. And at the time, you know, we had a very quick conversation. I just remember thinking, gosh, what an amazing woman to have, like, you know, written all of these books and facilitated this and done so well in property, you know, and I was totally, you know, this woman thinking, wow, you know, I want to be like her. You know, and I just said to her, you know, well, you know, where to next, Marina? Because, you know, like, you've done so much. And I didn't know that that was going to completely change her life. Because, you know, now she says that when I said that to her, that was kind of like, wow, yeah, what am I going to do next? Now, that wasn't my intention. So we don't know. We don't know when we're talking to people how we're going to change their life. You know, and Marina's really, really gracious in the fact that she says that I changed her life. But actually, she changed her own life. All it was I asked her a question. Now, she could have said, oh, well, nowhere, I'm just going to stay here. She's her own catalyst. She's her own creator, her own inspiration, you know, to today. And she'll continue to grow. But sometimes we just need somebody to say something to us. You know, when Marion said to me, the body's saying something about maybe it's the energy you give to somebody. And I was thinking, nah, this is a crock of shit. What's this about? And then she said, oh, hang on a minute. Oh, it's you've got to be careful. And those few words completely, you know, my mind was racing, the voices in my head were screaming, oh my God, they found out. You know, there's also panic in my brain at the time. Yeah. And I didn't realise it was totally unconscious. So, you know, you're absolutely right. Your story can inspire people. But also, you know, quite recently, someone saw me on stage and they said, you know, I'm so inspired by you because, you know, you're standing up there. There are very few female speakers on, you know, on the big stages. And I just thought, you know, I was too old and I was too fat. She said, but you've really inspired me. and I said to the woman, I said, I don't know whether or not to be happy or sad because I think what you're saying to me is that you think that I'm old and fat. But you know what? I don't care. I don't care. And she was like, oh, no, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. And I was like, I don't care, you know, it's good because, you know, 48, you know, 52 as I am now, you know, for me, I work with a lot of women who are potentially going through changes. And I know there's the change and it's a midlife crisis for some people. And even recently we were talking about the quarter life crisis. You know, women and men as young as, you know, early 20s are going through this kind of crisis and stress about their life. Yeah. And half of me wants to say, oh my gosh, you know, you want to wait till you're older. But actually it's a really good thing to get the story right now. You know, the story is you're still in charge of your life. Only you can make decisions for your life. You cannot be affected by anybody else. Nobody can make you miserable because you have the choice to walk away. And that's a big statement, because I work with some women who are in, abusive relationships, and, they've got a lot of stuff going on, but there is still a choice. Is it easy? No. But you don't have to work it out on your own, and you don't have to do it alone, because there are places that you can go for support. And usually I find women, in our community, our Live, Love, Laugh Lounge community, they are so caring and sharing and helpful. And, there are people out there who want to help other people. So share your story. You may be the person, I have another saying, people come into your life for 2 reasons. 1, because you can help them, or 2, because they can help you. And you never know which side of that sentence you're going to be on when you meet people. So, your story may be horrific. Your story may be, scary for other people. But at the same time, if your story can connect to somebody and help them to go, do you know what? I'm gonna try something new. Then you're now changing your story. You're using your pain to help somebody to gain the life that they could. So I know your story, Angelica, is very powerful. It's a very powerful story. So, it's got to be shared, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I always been, for years, I've been wanting to share this, to give people hope and inspiration, and just to demonstrate that change is possible. If you change your story that you tell yourself, from a negative point of view, like, I'm not good enough, I never will be able to do this, then no change will happen. But if you change the story and look within, because the secret is within, and the key, like you mentioned, the key is within you. Yeah, it is not externally. But we are kept so busy, with friends and the conversation that they have, negative conversation, gossip, and other factors, media. We just outside of ourselves continuously, and we just have to learn to be inside and then draw on the strength that we have naturally, the toolkit that we're born with, to change the story, because it is not easy and it takes courage. But and this is why I'm sharing. I just want to demonstrate, yes, you can. And and that excites me. Because
and I know that the sharing of it is, as I said, when I was growing up, it was all about, it seemed to be all about competition. And now I know that, we've moved into the age of Aquarius, and it's more about caring and sharing. It's a bit more femininity. And I'm not talking about being a feminist, because I'm telling you now, if I burnt my brow, it would not be an attractive sight, because how can we say my assets would be going down south, yeah? But it's all about being able to work with men and women.
Yes.
There's not enough women on the board of directors in these big companies. And I've got to be honest with you, I don't blame the men, I blame the women. Because we're like, I don't know if I can do that. And there's a lot of really great women business owners out there. And if we just say, okay, let's just go for it, apply for it. Say I'm the right person for it. Be a bit bullshit about it. But that's because when you have men and women together, those two energies then have, they have a perfect balance. But too much testosterone, too much competition, and look at the world we're living in now, and too much, carey, sherry, feely, touchy is not good either. It's a mixture of both. But, it's about just getting out there and just really living and testing things and see what will happen.
Yeah, it's taking the responsibility. It's like you say, the women are, some to blame, because, yes, we can't do this. And I'm sure that some guys say that, I can't do this. But, it's like, take the bull by the horn, We only do this. This is not a rehearsal, this life. This is the only life we have this time round, just go for life.
Yeah, and I hope that people will be joining us soon, because Marina's putting on an amazing event at the BAFTAs. I mean, the BAFTAs, if anybody's out there wanting to share their story, if anybody's out there thinking, well, my life's been a bit shit, and, I think I could help a few people because I've found a way out of this, then imagine if you could be seen on the red carpet at the home of the BAFTAs, you know, either just saying, you know, I'm doing a commitment, I'm going to write a book, or here's my book, or here's something that I've published, you know, or you just want to share your story with the other people that are going to be there. I mean, that is absolutely freaking awesome. And, you know, that could be where people start to find what their why is. Because, you know, I believe everybody's got a story within them. Everybody. And, you know, I didn't think my story was, I mean, my story wasn't horrific like your story. You know, I've worked with people all over the world, and I've helped, you know, I helped a young girl who had, you know, who trained to be a doctor, who really wanted to be an artist, but her parents didn't, you know, want her to do that. And I trained her and I coached her and created her story. She gave me her story. I just made it creative. And she stood in front of 5,000 people in Singapore. You know, I worked with another lady who was from the Philippines, and, you know, she was pretty much told to go and marry an Australian, otherwise her father would die. You know, she was raped at gunpoint.
Yeah.
You know, and she her story. I've worked with a guy who's in property, you know, and he had money and then he lost it all, and he was working as a, you know, £5 or £7 an hour cleaner, and now he's a multimillionaire in property. You know, everybody's got a story. So, you know, anyone who's
and I can't express how lucky I am to have met you, Cheryl, and you helping me, and through and Marion on the workshop when I came to do the speaker training. And now I'm, you know, Marina has helped me in the last week to actually get my book out. Your past is not your destiny. It is just amazing.
Yeah, your past is what makes you, and yes, you know, but you don't have to live in the past.
No.
There may be some work, you know, there may be some work where you need to revisit the past and just go, okay, so what happened there? I see. Because at the minute, I mean, the analogy that I give is that, you know, let's imagine that we're all cakes. I mean, I love cakes, but they're just so wrong. Let's imagine that we're a cake, but we're a beautiful looking cake. We've got all the ingredients, but there's just this little bitter taste there, and we don't know what it is. So you have to go back to look at the recipe. You've got to go back and look at the ingredients that have made you who you are today. And you can go back, and you can do this through the power of the mind, and you can replace the bitterness with something that is much better tasting. That means you still appreciate the fact that that happened to you. That's what created the cake that you have at the minute. But you can do something about it. Or you could say, well, you could add something new to take the bitterness away. So there's always something you can do to be more creative, to be more collaborative, you know, to be able to just, you don't have to stay bitter. You know, and that's really is where a lot of people are. You know, I know somebody who's in their 80s. Yeah. And, you know, they are a fucking victim. And I'm sorry to say that. You know, I'm not saying their life has been easy, but they're a victim, and they relive the victim every single day. Yeah. They've had cancer 3 times. Guess what? Yeah. Why do you think? Because they're so bitter and twisted and living in this horrible environment that the body is at dis-ease with itself. So they've got disease, you know, and you know, you can't help someone unless they want to be helped. That's the problem. Absolutely.
And, you know, they have to find a way to acceptance, because if you don't accept or find a way to forgive, you're not going to move on, and you stay in victimhood, and you have to take responsibility. Now, I accept what has happened to me. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. But, you know, and people, I think, make the mistake to think that when you accept somebody for what they have done to you or not, that makes it okay, what they have done. And that is not true. It just sets you free, that you can move out of this victim mode. Because if people don't accept, if they don't go through that process, then exactly like this person you're just talking about, they're just hanging in the past all the time, and it makes you unwell. They're still perhaps trying to change something that is impossible to change. But we can learn from it. The experiences, the people that we encounter, like you said, the past makes us who you are. And I am so grateful for my experiences, because I love who I am now. Yes, there's been a time where I didn't love myself and didn't feel good enough, but I always have this vision, and it's like if I win something, I will say, have it in my statement. Yes, thank you for all the people that came into my life, because without you being in my life, giving me the experiences, the horrible ones, and the good ones, and the traumatic ones, I wouldn't be here today. And for that, I'm grateful.
Yeah, and it's really important because, you can call them, and I think, I can't remember, a man once said that they were called the blessed enemy, because without them, you wouldn't have the drive, you wouldn't have the determination, and you also wouldn't have the contrast to be able to appreciate everything that is so amazing in your life. The fact that, like, this morning we woke up, and and certainly in the majority of the countries that I visited quite recently, South Africa, Singapore, Australia, across Europe, Poland, Czech Republic, America, Canada, all these places, the fact that we woke up and we had running water, fresh, clean running water, is absolutely awesome. And I remember someone saying to me, oh, I'm poor, I don't have any money, etc. But if you have some loose change in your pocket, you are rich. Yes. Compared to other people in the world. So, in this kind of society that we live in, there is no excuse for us to not be able to do what we want to do, apart from the blocks and the barriers that we have within our own head. Yes. I mean, it really is just as simple as that. So what we have to do is, we have to say, we give a nod to the story. We say the story is what's brought us so far, but we are still only, hopefully, at the start of the book. We have different chapters. I'm possibly halfway through my book. I've got a hell of a lot of more chapters that I'm going to be writing, in the fact that I'm going to be going out and helping other people to improve their lives, to live, love and laugh every day. But I'm going to do that while I'm doing it as well. So my journey isn't done. I'm planning on being here at least another 100 years. That's what I'm aiming for. Aim high.
Aim high, absolutely. I got my arms up in the air.
Yeah, aim high. Because we don't know what's going to happen to us. We went to see our accountant a couple of days ago, and I found out that one of our very good friends, and again, you can blame, I'm too busy, I've been here, there and everywhere. One of our good friends has just been told that, well, not actually just been told, but a couple of years ago, was told that he'd got a brain tumour and he shouldn't be here now, or cancer. And he shouldn't be, he is, because we don't have to take on and do what other people say. Yes. He's not very well, and I felt a bit sad that we hadn't known about that for a couple of years. It just shows how we get so busy in our own worlds. And I'm kind of like, gosh, here I am, I'm inspiring thousands, of people around the globe, and yet, there's a friend, a very close friend, and I didn't even know that. So, things happen to you, and you go, hang on a minute, I just need to assess where I am at the moment, and I need to just think about what I really want. It's a constant update of that story. But definitely anybody who's got a story, and they, and everybody has got a story, it's worth writing it down. It's worth sharing it, because as I said, you never know whose life you're going to, to change just with the power of your words. Yeah. So absolutely. So it's been amazing. Angelica, thank you so much.
Thank you, Cheryl. And, I'm sure we will be speaking soon.
Exactly. So we will, if you don't know, we'll see each other very soon. And so brilliant. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. Thank you. Bye.